So don't worry, I'm not going to go through all this. It'll probably blow your brain and mine too if I did that, the whole networking flow here. Anyways, this is again from the VMware deployment guide, and this is really an example of one of the most complex deployments I've seen as far as networking topology. I just wanted to point out and show you how many different possibilities there are with this and the different communication flows and why it's so important to map these out. Whether you're doing a deployment like this one, which has 10, 20 different components all talking to each other behind load balancers, you can see here in application load balancers, clustered databases. It's really important to understand the communication flows, whether it's for VLANs, DMZs, firewall rules, ports, and protocols. It's important to map all this out when you're doing this type of distributed installation. Otherwise, it can get really out of hand fast. So you'll want to make sure that you have that all mapped out and you understand the different flows of each of the components. Go back and reference that sample architecture that I put up in pretty much every module here because it shows you the main ports they communicate over. You'll notice in this diagram, again, you don't want to pick the whole thing apart, but those ports are pretty much the same ones we've been talking about, right? 443 for SSL or HTTPS communication. We have our database ports, 1433. We have 7444 for authentication. So those should look familiar from what we had before, and it's just at a much grander scale because we have a lot more components. But use something like this to trace back all the network traffic and to really map out what your environment's going to look like.